Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Coaching Clinic. It is another episode, and today we are already at episode 10, which is absolutely fantastic. It means that we have been doing coaching clinics for the last 3 months, which is quite an achievement. And so while you are joining the live, make sure you head over to the comments and you say hi to each other. Welcome, everyone. Viraj, can you believe it is already Coaching Clinic 10?
I mean, it's a nice milestone, but as soon as you said 10, I was like trying to count back. How many weeks has it been? Yeah, 3 months. Wow, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. And it's only a drop in the ocean, right?
Exactly. It's only a drop in the ocean. And it is interesting that for the last 3, and even I think it's around 4 months actually, since we were doing the coaching clinics, we have been through so much learning together on various topics. We were looking at confidence, we were looking at change, we were looking at limiting beliefs, we were looking for ways to improve our imposter syndromes. Like, we've done so much. And we thought, what are we going to do during the 10th episode, and how can we assess the growth and the transformation that we have done over the last 9 coaching clinics? We decided to go back and recap the global change and the self-coaching. You remember in the first coaching clinic, we were doing how to cope with change. So today we wanted really to go back and assess how well have we done together during the last 9 coaching clinics. Viraj, are you excited talking about change again and how we can ensure that we retained a lot of growth and learning from the last coaching clinics?
Absolutely. It's going to be fun just to revisit this topic and just see what people have taken on since that very first session. And I think reflection's always a key part of everything that we do. So let's do this.
Absolutely. Reflections are absolutely vital. And I want to say hi to some of our viewers. Hi, Roswitha. Hello, Donna. Hello, Nui. Hello, Michelle. Alina, welcome. We also have Ailey with us. We have Shireen, and we have Beate and Swarna. And I see the comments growing as our audience is tuning in. Absolutely fantastic. So thank you for saying hi. Thank you for finding the time. And let's dive in. So if you remember what we have started our coaching clinics with, we started looking at change and how it affects us. The first thing we've learned together is that every change brings a threat and an opportunity. And we've done some self-coaching and we've done some reflections on how well we are handling change. And I want to invite you and share in the comments, what do you think now? After doing the coaching clinics, have you learned how to see an opportunity in every change, or do you still see threats when you are faced with the change? Viraj, what about you? Have you observed some better perspectives? Have you learned how to recognize an opportunity in every change better?
Definitely. It's funny because a lot of time I could see even now, just looking back, how a few months ago the initial change would be like, oh no. Whereas now it's like, okay, let's deal with this. Like, but it's funny just reflecting back on that process of just that kind of shrug of the shoulders, and just kind of, yeah, let's get on with it. Let's see what opportunities this brings.
Let's get on with it. Love that. Donna says reflection and growth. Donna has been able to spot more reflection and growth in every change. That's absolutely fantastic. So while every change brings a threat and an opportunity, we were trying to learn how can we see an opportunity in every change and how we can recognize it. So let's recap why we're seeing change as a threat, right? And feel free to share your reflections and your learnings in the chat, because today we really focus on recapping. We will be doing the self-coaching and reflections as always and exercises. But in the beginning, let's recap and let's reiterate what we all were able to learn for the last 9 coaching clinics. So why do we see change as a threat? Change is scary as it brings us uncertainty and is interpreted by our brain as a threat to our survival, right? Also, change is stressful as we're usually unprepared for a change. Change is stressful also as we do not have ready solutions, and that is always scary. Change sometimes can cause anxiety as we feel we do not have right answers, right, or again solutions. And change can be worrying as we do not know what comes next. Viraj, to add something to this list?
No, I think that list ticks all those boxes. I think it's just it's the unexpectedness that just throws us off, and that's just the nature of change.
Absolutely, just the nature of change. And Maxine also says, I observe myself identifying the change, and instead of the oh no, not again feeling, I choose to embrace it instead. It is a mindset. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Alina says, change forces us to break patterns and to face uncertainty, which is also a growth answer, right? That's fantastic. Edinalva says, as human beings, we are afraid of the unknown. Absolutely right. Nui says, change seems like scary, but sometimes you can change for new road and new way of life. Donna says, change can bring fear, stay still, and it won't change. Face it, and opportunity awaits. Beautiful. And Radhika says, change is growth, which we absolutely agree with. Thank you for wonderful recaps and reflections. And let's move forward. Remember, with every change comes an opportunity, and few things we learned about change over the last coaching clinics. Number one, change is inevitable. We can't skip it, right? The only constant thing is life is that we are constantly faced with changes. Change is a form of evolution and development, such as when we are seeing changes in the way we live and the way we function. The same thing happens in our lives, right? And as people, we also change and evolve. With every change comes a certain form of alteration or optimization. And with every change come important realizations. Viraj, anything you want to add to this list of recaps?
No, I mean, I think just really bottom line, the changes change is inevitable. It's natural. It's how we've got to this point from when we were babies to where we are now. So it's just part and parcel of life.
Thank you so much, Viraj, and also looking forward to reading some of the reflections of our audience. Alina says also change is the only constant. Absolutely agree. Maxine says change is the only constant. Once accepted, the fear recedes. Karanbir, change is the only constant. Hope, I love change. I get so bored with the same. My challenge is same over and over again. That is my struggle. You love change, and that is wonderful. Hope. Beata says, when change comes my way, I can see opportunity if it is not an emotional issue. Amazing. And Stacy says, jumped to Donna. Stacy says, stepping into quantum processes to review our survival reactions. Love that. Fantastic. Well, beautifully said, everyone. Beautiful reflections. And with that being said, let's move forward and let's share some more recaps. So in terms of handling change, what we have learned over the last 9 coaching clinics is that neuroscience teaches us that our brain always prioritizes survival. Therefore, when we are faced with a change and we perceive it as a threat, our brain starts using shortcuts to save the maximum energy and to make us do as less effort as possible. And therefore, we resist change. As a result, we fail to use all the resources available to us within that could help us cope with change better and see more opportunities. Viraj, do you agree with that?
I totally do. I did a webinar on this in the school about how the limbic brain, the survival reptilian part of our brain, is just fighting to prioritize survival first and foremost. So it's the what do you call it, the path of least resistance. It's just the easiest way to resist and just not have to do anything that it perceives as outside of our comfort zone, which for survival purposes is totally fine. It just limits us when we want to grow and are held back by that handbrake.
Absolutely agree with that. And I also love that we can recognize, right, when we are aware that when we are facing change, we have a choice, right, to see it as a threat or to start seeking opportunities that present themselves as a part of the change. And Lucy says, change is good for the soul, which I absolutely agree with. Roswitha says, Change is an adjust to the new circumstances. I love that. Need some minutes. Beautiful. Kelly says, without change, I wouldn't have learned about myself, inhibit growth, wouldn't have become a mother or had amazing life adventures. I love that. Beautiful. So with that being said, let's continue our recap. If we have understood how to handle change and we practiced it through our multiple coaching clinics, how about evaluating the effect of self-coaching for stress reduction, especially when dealing with change? What we have learned together is that when our brain recognizes change, it leads sometimes, if we recognize change as a threat, to extreme stress, right? Releasing high levels of cortisol, and this may cause actual physical implications, such as reduced performance, even reduced resistance to infection, depression, anxiety, and various disorders, and of course, loss of sleep. So when change is recognized as a threat, we can experience any of those, let's call, symptoms. Viraj, do you agree with the symptoms, or you want?
No, I think those are the typical ones. I think a lot of the time it naturally just, what you see in all of that is just a suppression of what our normal functions would be. And that's a sign that there is some stress at play. So when you notice that, I think then that's a good point to start asking those questions and begin to self-coach to determine what's going on.
And I want to invite our audience today to evaluate, how did self-coaching work for you for stress reduction? Were you able to experience some improvements once you started implementing self-coaching into your life, especially when you were dealing with change? Maybe you were able to combat reduced performance, or maybe you were able to get less anxious as a result of self-coaching. Maybe you are sleeping better. Maybe you are feeling that overall your well-being, and mental health became better. How has the self-coaching been for you since we began? And especially, of course, our students can share their results, as I'm sure they do a lot of self-coaching as a result of learning the curriculum in the certification school. And meanwhile, I want to share a comment of Michelle Grazer. She says, even if we don't change to move forward, we're choosing to change to regress. I think that's deep. Really interesting. Well, Alina says, journaling every day helps her and the list of gratitude. That is interesting. Many people report that journaling definitely makes a big difference. Viraj, I'm sure also with clients of your students, as you are reviewing the coaching sessions, you also can spot those transformations, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. And actually, there's a great comment here that Maxine has shared as well, is that it takes a lot of practice, even trial and error, and being prepared to fail and try again. I think that's where the juice is. And then that's almost the process of change. You've got the one way that you know to do something, and then you try and you see it doesn't quite work. So then you make those tweaks and then you try again. And that's how the process goes. And that's, in essence, what the supervision process is like, is that your first session will never be your 10th session, but you need that first session to get to the 10th session. And so often we as people don't even try to take that first step, and we're wondering why we can't get to step 10.
Absolutely agree. Wonderful, wonderful comment. And I think also Maxine is, so spot on with her comment. Also, I like Karan Beer's takeaway. Karan Beer says, one of our graduates, by the way, I think self-coaching is an essential part of living a better life. It really helps you slow down your running thoughts, which is very important to do every now and then.
Yeah.
And you could totally see when Jay Shetty graduates, Jay Shetty Certification School graduates come to our coaching clinics. Thank you so much, Karan Beer, for co-doing this with us. Absolutely wonderful. Kshama, I am learning detachment as a part of my coaching path. That's also very interesting.
I like that. Kshama is one of my students, so I'm glad to see you taking that on board.
Okay, there you go. Edinalva says, self-coaching and meditation brings me more confidence and less stress. Fantastic. Lucy says, my creativity and energy came back. Congratulations, Lucy. Happy to hear that. Donna, absolutely. I see the anxiety of change as being on the learning curve and choose to get excited.
I
Fantastic.
love that comment. And you know what? It's something that I learned is that when you're going through a process of change, it's actually called creative tension, where you need that tension to grow. It's like when you're in the gym and you're doing your reps, like you feel the tension in your muscles, and that's where the growth happens. So when you're feeling that anxiety of change, just even within that, just be careful of how you word that. Is it the creative tension, or is it the anxiety of change? And very quickly you'll be able to see that actually that's what you want in order to feel that push and know that you're up to something meaningful.
Absolutely. I love that comment, and Donna is going deeper and deeper the more she's closer to graduation. Really proud of Donna's growth. Kelly, another one of our students, unplanned change can feel hard, but self-coaching has allowed me to trust the process. Always ask myself, why is this happening? What are the benefits? What is this experience teaching me? Congratulations, Kelly, on such an amazing growth. And, we can totally see a coach in you right now, right, with all the reflections and learnings. Absolutely fantastic. And Alina says, self-coaching brings awareness, which is absolutely right. Wonderful takeaway. So, as we know, self-coaching can help us with stress reduction, and also it can help us to recover calmness, change our perspective, uncover our resourcefulness, becoming mindful and aware of our response to change, attending to healthy habits, and creating a new daily productive routine, right? Self-coaching also will help us fight loss of motivation, anxiety, worry, and even fear, as we have experienced in our last group coaching clinic. Viraj, as always, anything you want to add or edit in this list?
No, I think in the one thing to be mindful of is that when we look at the things that self-coaching will fight, is when those things come up, is not to resist those. Like that is a clue that you're in the process rather than be put off by that.
Absolutely agree. Well, I can see a lot of our comments that actually confirm, right, those symptoms, let's say, that were combated with the help of self-coaching, and that is absolutely fantastic. Now, Tina says, a knife is sharpened by rubbing against a rough surface. Interesting, really, really interesting. And Ada says, love changes. Roswitha says, I was many years a pool jumper in a nursing service. So that means change from now to then. And it is so precious to get some good infos from the co-workers before to visualize. Fantastic, Roswitha. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if we know how self-coaching can help us and what it can help us fight, I think it is the right time to bring an interesting quote. Martin Seligman said once that the only way to create a meaningful life is to use your strengths and resources in the service of something larger than you are. One of the biggest benefits of self-coaching is a way to create a meaningful life. What we will be doing today, we will be trying to create a new meaning. That's how our today's exercise is being called. Exercise for self-coaching, as always. The exercise is called create a new meaning. Because when we create a new meaning, we can see opportunities in change and we can respond to change better. Viraj, what do you think about this quote as a coach?
I mean, I think this perfectly underlines why for certain things we always show up, but then when it comes to others we don't. So the example that comes to mind is we know we have to get to work for a certain time or there's going to be an impact on our colleagues, our boss, our whatever we're up to, but yet sometimes we won't commit to ourselves in the same ways because we just haven't created the meaning that what you're up to is part of something bigger and larger, because you're focusing a little bit, maybe it's just a little bit too small when it's on yourself, but you don't see how you're the access to something bigger. Whereas you'll get to work on time, you'll make sure your work's done before you leave, you'll do all of these things without even thinking about it, and yet that meaning is missing when we're up to something for ourselves.
Absolutely agree. And Donna here says, self-coaching helps you remove masks and constraints you've attached to yourself. Absolutely agree, Donna. And it also takes courage to admit, right, that you are removing masks and constraints. And I think this is so spot on. Thank you for sharing, Donna. Absolutely fantastic. Kruti says that she loves the quote, and it's her motto, basically, which is absolutely great. And so I think if we are clear on the self-coaching and we are inspired enough, I think it's the right time to start a coaching session, isn't it? So as always, I invite you to grab a pen and piece of paper, or just use our chat to post your reflections as we are preparing to begin for an exercise which is called Find a New Meaning. Today, we are going to be looking at finding new purpose, efficiency, new values, and self-worth. As I said, today is a time for us to recap what we have done over the 9 sessions, and we are going to be doing the recap through a set of reflective questions, which in combination will help us find a new meaning. Because I feel 10 sessions is actually a good time to start discovering what actually shifted, what has actually changed. Viraj, are you excited for Find a New Meaning exercise?
Oh, I'm excited. This is always good stuff. Always good to review this. And it's great in terms of like when we just look at Find New Meaning. And as you've said, 10 sessions in, let's really see how far people have come.
I love how Radhika says, Donna, listening to your insights make me want to sign up for the school today, Madina. I will get there as soon as I can. Radhika, at your own time, at your own pace, But definitely watching the growth of our students and our graduates is inspiring for us because, before we start the exercise, I'd like to say that at the moment, we are at around 35 graduates, and that number grows every week as we attend the exams and we listen to the final presentations. But most importantly, in our alumni network, as we see those coaching journeys unfolding, it brings us new meaning and new purpose as a school, because we are able to see not only the results, we are able to see post-graduation, the impact that is being created, and that ripple effect that we have drawn as a team, back in November, I think, Viraj, isn't it? We're seeing that ripple effect just 6 months forward being put, into a real life network of coaches that are changing lives. And that's fantastic. And I want to take a minute and thank all our students and all our graduates for being so fantastic, because it is not enough to create a great school. You also need to ensure that you have great people in the school. And I think we are blessed with that part. So thank you, everyone, for being so fantastic students and graduates as you are. Okay, if everyone is ready, I think it is the right time to begin our today's coaching clinic. And so let's start with the first exercise. I invite you to assess your new purpose. I want you to think about yourself where you were 4 months ago. So we are talking about April. All right, let's look at April. And where were you in April 2020? And answer the following questions. What are your current objective goals? How are they different from the goals you had 6 weeks ago? We can do 8 weeks if you want, or 10 weeks. Meeting which goals will derive the utmost subjective fulfillment to you? The purpose of this exercise is for you to look back at past you, right? And then assess, are your goals now different? And meeting which goals will give you, the higher feeling of purpose. Has something changed from who you were back in April or March or May, whatever you're looking at? Feel free to take any timeline and provide your answers in the chat. Let's celebrate the growth today. Today, I wanted to bring an exercise which will show you and us how far we've gone, right, in those 10 coaching clinics. Viraj, are you going to be answering the new purpose exercise questions?
I am, actually. This has got me thinking as well, so I'm like writing it down. Let's do this.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing your results as well. And while you're putting your answers in the chat, I'm just going to read some of the comments. Maxine, cheers to the graduates. Michelle, so fortunate to be part of this program, and leaders are exceptional. Thank you. And we are fortunate to have each and every one of you. We value each and every one of you. So let me repeat the exercise. This is the first exercise, which is a part of big coaching tool, right, which is called Finding Your Meaning. With the exercise 1, we are finding and evaluating your new purpose. So write down, what are your current objective goals? How are they different from the goals you had 6 or 8 weeks ago? Meeting which goals will derive the utmost subjective fulfillment for you. I want you here really to be critical and evaluative towards yourself. I want you to imagine yourself 3-4 months ago and yourself today. And I want you to look subjectively at the meaning and purpose of the goals you had then and what you have today, how that has changed, right? Donna. As always, Donna is first, the bravest. That's why I love Donna, because she's always the first with the exercises. And I think Donna will be so great with evaluating the growth. My goal was purely to serve others. But through the process, I have learned to accept myself and fall in love with my tribe. See, so the priorities have changed, right, Donna? And that's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. Ami says, 4 months ago, recently graduated from college, began interviewing and country shut down. Interesting. So Ami, try to go down and deeper with those questions, right? So what are your current goals? How they are different from the goals you had that time, right? And meeting which goals will derive the utmost fulfillment to you right now. Maxine, my goals have changed. They were all about just getting certified, but now they are all about how best I can bring what I've learned to serve others. What impact and ripple effect can I have? Wow, Maxine, this is such a big shift, right? Recognizing that now what matters to you more is the impact versus, looking at your goals before and they were just about ticking the box, right? I think that's quite major. What do you think, Viraj?
I think that key word there is impact. And I think that's once we get present to that, that's the game changer. So I'm excited, Maxine. I'd love to hear more now.
I'm proud of you, Maxine. I'm seeing your interactions inside the school sometimes when I'm diving in, in the forum. So I'm really proud of your growth. Michelle, hello, Michelle, tuning in, welcome. And Alina, back in April, I didn't know where I will be in August. I am now focused, determined. I am on target. Current objective, finishing school, getting certified, and helping women and young girls transform and change their mindset to live a happy life and remove obstacles holding them back. What do you think, Viraj? This is a wonderful change, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I bet back in April you wouldn't have thought you'd be saying this 4 months later. And if you just look at the details, there's the focus, there's the determination, there's a target, and it's now the current objective is not just about getting over this, but looking at what's next. And again, it goes back to what Maxine said earlier, is like the impact that you can be at the source of. That's so cool.
That's so cool. I agree. Ray says, I'm so grateful for the invite to be able to see how the coaching clinics are led and to get an inside look at the amazing content. It's really helping with visualizing the future steps. Thank you, Ray. Make sure you tune in all the time so you can experience some self-coaching. Kshama says, my goals are the same. I would like to empower others, live a happier life. But doing the course, I'm learning a lot and I'm slowly getting clarity on how I can do it best. What do you think about this kind of shift, Viraj?
I really like this because this is just such a great demonstration of still being connected to something, but allowing it the time that it needs to set and embed. And it's at your own pace. And if clarity is going to help you fulfill that empowerment at the impact that you would like to hit, then it's absolutely perfect.
Absolutely agree. Shama, I think that I love that you're going deeper with your goals, right? So what you are saying is my goals are the same, but now I'm understanding how to do or how to reach this goal at a different level, right? Today I was talking with one of my colleagues and he told me one interesting thing. He said, we need to focus not on the output, but on the outcome of what we do. And I thought that was so powerful because we can produce a lot of things, right? But to measure the outcome, the impact of what we produce is a totally different measure, totally different scale. So Kshama, totally resonate, totally feel you. Alina says, so grateful for the school, amazing supervisors and support. Thank you, Alina. They are the best. Our supervisors, they are simply the best because our students are the best too. Kelly, 6 weeks ago, focus on homeschooling and aim to begin supervised and unsupervised sessions. Learn more about myself. Now it is the impact on others, what I need to learn more about to better serve people I am coaching, and what is the best niche I can serve. Wonderful takeaway. Thank you for sharing, Kelly. Fantastic. Roswitha says, my goals are the same, to live a better life in terms of my own relationship. I have made progress. I make it every day, and I'm looking forward for the great wide open. That's it for now. Beautiful, Roswitha. And Tina, I realize I need to revise my priorities. Rather than this school being an additional item on my list, it needs to be what I make central and build other things around it. Well, Tina, don't put pressure on yourself, because one thing we're seeing is that every student is different and everyone's pace and everyone's path is different. We have some students who graduated within 8 weeks, and for example, Ricky, who we had interview with, I think he actually done it in even less than 8 weeks. It was 7.5 or so. Like it was, right?
Yeah.
And we have also students who are now in 6 months period or 5 months period, and they are still fine with that, right? The most important thing is don't put pressure on yourself in terms of this is a marathon. I said I'm going to graduate by July. I'm going to graduate by July. Better look at when am I comfortable with getting certified and coaching other people, right? Because after you graduate, like some of the interviews that we had with our graduates brought them a lot of interest and exposure, right? So the most important thing, create a path where you will be ready and able to go and create, impact and change lives and coach other people. So that's the only thing that matters, really. Timelines are very subjective, right? It's all about what suits you. But maybe Viraj wants to give you a different advice.
No, I think in the main, like, your timeline is for you, and it's, I like how you've said that you wanted to revise your priorities, because I think that's important. Is when you structure yourself to your needs rather than your wants, I think that way you show up that much more powerfully.
I agree with that too. Michelle says, initial goal was to get more expertise and skills. Now the goal is to be a real agent of change for myself and others. Also learning how my personal health will help me achieve this even more. I love that, Michelle, that also, the focus shifted on impact, right? And that will bring you much more satisfaction, of course, undoubtedly. Alina says, I've learned so much. Less judgment, listening more, no bias. Learn to be quiet, to quiet my critical inner voice. Learn to have confidence. That is fantastic. And Lucy, 4 months ago, in a real estate career, which I love but needed more in a wellness journey of my own, brought me to coaching. I graduated as a breath coach and now enrolled in JSCS. I'm so happy about my choices, grateful for my second act. Thank you so much, Lucy. Grateful to read your reflections. Kruti, in April, all I wanted was a day job earning salary. Coaching wasn't in the picture. Right now, though, my goal is to graduate JSCS by my birthday in November. Fingers crossed. Something magical happened in between my mind and brought me clarity this past few months. I felt so much gratitude for that. While I'm reading fantastic reflections, Viraj, why do you think so many of our students in the process of becoming coaches, they see so much shift, in the personal development? To me, I understand why, but I'm always thinking, why so much? Like, why such a drastic transformation?
I think naturally when you're reflecting and to a certain extent you're unlearning, you connect with what matters the most to you. And often you find that the things that are kind of nice to haves or just kind of there, you realize that they aren't really serving you that much, and you're able to really drill down deeper into the more meaningful things and have them become your base. And when you're operating from that base, you're naturally going to make more congruent, more mid to long-term decisions rather than short-term fixes. And that's a lot of that is what I'm seeing and hearing with a lot of what everyone's sharing right now, is that initially it was just short-term, just getting through. And 4 months ago, something happened in the world and everyone just paused and started to connect to what mattered. And when they started to connect to what mattered, they naturally put their energy into that. And we're seeing some of the early results of that.
Totally. Totally agree with you. Now I can see how that could work. Swarna says, in April, I was only concentrated on my master's thesis and silently dreaming about helping other people by transforming their lives. Now I've gained the confidence in myself and my passion in personal development that I can say that I want to become a coach. Congratulations, Swarna. Really, really happy to hear that. Frida says, my goal was to learn theory online and doing the practice sessions with you guys live in September in New York. I know, Frida, we all were looking forward to that, but here we are. Yeah. And now I could, until now, pretty well learning so much. I could not have imagined to do it all by myself, but I could until now pretty well learn so much with your incredible support online. Now I have not only more confidence in online learning, but I consider myself as more focused as I ever thought I have been before. Wow, Frida, that is fantastic. Hearing that you no longer have a barrier, and you were able to learn online, despite the live event being postponed until indefinite date, unfortunately, due to current situation. It is fantastic to hear that you were able to quickly adapt to change. That's what you've done, Frida. You've adapted to change and you've done it wonderfully. So I want you to celebrate that. Alina says, as coaches, the more we understand ourselves, the better we will be able to understand and help others change. Thank you, Alina. That perfectly answers my question. And I love that. Donna says, it is empowering to be with like-minded people and find a deeper connection. Absolutely agree. Jessie says, the goal was to get certified. Now I'm about heart-centered service. The self-awareness is amazing. And now I only want to give back and help others break habitual behaviors of their limiting beliefs. That is fantastic. As I am
That's such an example of the output versus the outcome. It was, yes, it's getting certified, which is all well and great. That's what we want people to do. But actually, it's now about the outcome of being certified. I love that example.
I mean, I'm just reading comments and I'm so proud of our students. It's so heartwarming to, read all of this. And Edinalva also says, I'm not yet part of the community, but counting the days for it.
Waiting.
I feel the connection. Likewise, Edinalva, we totally understand because our students are absolutely the best. Jill Dis. 4 months ago, my goal was to spend more time on GSCS and graduate as soon as I can. By spending time with modules and being practice client, I started learning and realizing I need more work on myself. The day I decided to sign up for GSCS was the best decision. I am on module 4. How I changed so far, the way I don't judge myself every day, don't compare myself. I accept people around me. I listen, how finally confidence is with me as well. Oh. This is so nice. Jildis, I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy that inside the school you were able not only to learn coaching, but also you experience being coached. I think that's very important. And one of the things I think our students sometimes underestimate is the power of access, right, to being exposed to different coaches as a practice client during the journey, because I think that's one of the unique benefits that you can get for your personal transformation. Do you think so, Viraj?
Absolutely, and Maxine's on fire, so I want to use one of her comments again, and it's just awareness. We're just not taught this. No guidance exists. Once achieved, you no longer focus on survival. It switches to living with meaning. And I think that's such a good example of coming in with one intention, but really getting that awareness of, actually, do you know what? There's some more here for me. Let me actually get the full picture and get everything that's on offer, rather than just that sort of linear progression. I really, really love that. And well done, Jildis. That's an amazing to see and hear.
Yeah. You guys, I'm so proud of each and every one of you. This is absolutely fantastic. To witness this moment is it's truly empowering. Well, let's proceed to the second exercise. And the second exercise, is all going to be about new values. So let's look at the same timeline and let's go back to you 4 months, 5 months ago, whatever timeline you're choosing. Let's evaluate the following. What are your new values? How are they different from your values 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago or 10 weeks ago? And how are your new values aligned with your new purpose? So this question is really to evaluate, with the growth and transformation that you have experienced, have your values changed? And if yes, what is the difference between the values you have today and the values you had few weeks ago? And how are these new values aligned with your new purpose, right? Values are really everything. It's the foundation of who we are. And it's very important to review them and reassess them and kind of investigate the change, because values are the foundation. It's the core of our identity, right? Of how we behave and how we communicate and how we achieve success, right? Did you develop any new values?
I think for me, the ones I had just deepened even more. And there were, I suppose I just got rid of a few, if anything. Just, I just doubled down on the ones that meant the most.
Right. Interesting. Well, maybe you can then help Amy, who is asking, to explain values a little bit more in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Amy, values are, how shall I word this without getting too wordy, because that's what I do. So values are really something that you hold. It's something that's important to you, something that is a bit of a driver in what you do. So, for example, if you are about people, let's say, then you could value love, you could value friendship, you could value compassion. So really, it's kind of like it's a direction that you naturally will orient towards. Whereas, let's say if someone is risk averse, their values are more safety, security, that type of thing. So it's just really taking that moment to pause to see what is something that you prioritize first above other things.
I hope that helps, Amy. And I'm going to repeat the exercise. So share in the chat, what are your new values? How are they different from your values 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks ago? And how are your new values aligned with your new purpose? Very important part of the exercise. And one of the interesting things about values is that they help us shape our response and our perspective. And we don't always understand that or evaluate that, but these kind of exercises to constantly review your values is absolutely necessary, because throughout life, various life situations, various levels of stress, changes can subconsciously help us develop new values. It's not always you decide which values you have and it happens, right? That's when you gain total control, right, over your behavior. But sometimes our subconsciousness develops values. We can miss that moment when our subconsciousness develops a new value. And it is very easy to miss that moment if we are not reflecting and evaluating and analyzing ourselves all the time, if we don't spend time with ourselves. Donna summarized it beautifully. Values are your internal compass. I love that, Donna. And Radhika says, I like how you said it's a driver. That's exactly what I was thinking. What drives you is your value. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Akshata says, hey guys, Akshata here yet again. Hello, Akshata.
No.
Frank, I wasn't really aware of my values until now. I mean, I knew them, but I had always gone against them. Now, since I am mindful of them, it's amazing to see who I am becoming. And that's the main reason I decided to opt in for the certification school. Well, thank you, Akshata, and welcome. I didn't know that you have signed up. That's fantastic. And I also like the Radhika's continuation. I really like what Viraj said. For what I thought about values is they don't necessarily change, but can perhaps be prioritized. Roswitha says, I think I found some tools against the mood swings about my personal values. This is an advantage for everyone involved. Interesting.
Wow.
Alina says, compared to April, I have listened to my intuition, joined the school, following my path. I am even more honest and true to myself. So, Alina, you developed new values, which are honesty. Maybe you had them before, but it's reinforced, like Viraj said, right?
Yeah.
And then true to myself. What's the right word, Viraj, to describe the value of being true to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, God, is it more integrous? Is it self-loving? Is it consistent? I'd love to hear more, Alina. Like, do share with us in the chat where that's come from. I think that's it's really, really interesting when we start to be true to ourselves, how much other people can be true around us as well. So yeah, expand on that, please.
Beautiful. Donna, I have learned that my value of finding joy in all that I do has fantastic results in all areas of my life. I am a better person. Congratulations, Donna, and you truly do bring joy. If anyone ever spoke to Donna, they know that your laugh is absolutely infectious. You want to laugh just when Donna...
What I really love about what Donna just shared there is the word joy. And joy is really an internal state, whereas happiness comes from something external. So you've just cultivated that state from within. And now we're seeing it on the surface as well. So that's fantastic.
Beautiful. Maxine says, my values originally were all based around honor, respect, and discipline. I've learned those are strengths that I'm taking forward. And now I've added community, knowledge, and acceptance. Wonderful group. I mean, something worth celebrating, isn't it?
Maxine, the star of this coaching clinic. That's just such an amazing share.
I'm so grateful that we picked this topic, because investigating, the recap, it's like one of the most appreciative experience we ever had, I think, in those coaching clinics. That's super cool. Kelly, kindness, growth, integrity, love, contribution. The other values that I've added are spirituality and fun. I feel I am more aware to my values and everything makes more sense to me. I realize spirituality deepens my growth, relationship with self, and purpose. Fun brings joy in all areas of life. Beautiful. And Frida, it feels that my values just grew bigger and bigger and got more and more important by my self-discovery. The more space I gave to myself, the more trust I have gained in being the change I want to have in myself. And so becoming able to offer the process towards my clients for their transformations. Music to my ears.
Yeah, I just love that. And again, it's just a great example of the more you give to yourself, the more everyone wins outside.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Kruti says, I don't feel my values changed. Fair enough. But I think the way I want to live them has helping others, my mental health. I wasn't as clear about how I'm supposed to practice them. That's very interesting too. And Michelle says, my initial value was to help others. Now my focus is to first love myself and do what is good for building me to a point that I can be a living example for others. As I grow, I know my impact on my clients will be more powerful. I will be able to better relate, to deepen the gift of intuition, to help others open their perspectives of themselves.
I love that, because again, it's just about that mirror that you put outwards as well as what people will see back from you as well. So when you're creating that connection, that relatability, it just strengthens your cause so much.
Absolutely. And Jildiz, again, wonderful reflection, trying to do one thing at a time, staying in the moment. I never had that before. It's a joy.
Wow.
That's really beautiful. Oh, Lucy says, I value myself more. I feel that I have let go of barriers I didn't realize I had, both good and bad. It's actually quite refreshing to see life this way. Beautiful, Lucy. I'm so happy you're experiencing that, and it's absolutely fantastic. Now, let's move to the next exercise, as we are going to evaluate efficiency. Which new strengths have you discovered in 2020? And which of these strengths can now make a difference? So the purpose of this part is really to understand how right? You could operate with it, but it was not your strongest point. But in 2020, you have recognized and discovered new strengths by building on it or developing it, right? Or mastering it. So which one of those strengths can now make a difference? And which new strengths have you discovered about yourself in 2020? Have you discovered any new strengths, Viraj?
Yeah, so I've always had this strong work ethic, but I found smarter ways to produce outcomes and be more effective and creative in doing that. So I feel that that's been a big win for me in terms of just enhancing something that I felt was always there, but now there's more joy in the work ethic than just head down and getting on with things.
I love that. I think that's powerful, and I can totally commend that you have like such a great work ethic, and I think that's your strength. You should totally be proud of yourself. And Ray says, it's a new value for me to work in alignment with my life purpose and higher goals rather than just turning a job for security and because it's familiar. Now I have left my job as a teacher to focus on a new path. Big change, but it was time. And that is the wonderful way, of kind of following your new purpose, and great way of handling change, right? That's fantastic. Now, let's look of some of the efficiency results. And Michelle says here, for me, the certification program has totally transformed my life. Every day, my values are enriching by coaching, and my new trend is work smarter and more focused. I have learned we are all alike. I love that, Michelle. I really love that. I really think we all are. I feel the best I have felt in 50 years. My new trend. I love that. Now, Michelle is very inspiring, right, on her own. Like, she is such a fighter, and sometimes I'm seeing Michelle's content and I'm thinking, how is it possible to produce so much positivity and so much great content? As I really think Michelle is a very unique person in a way. Thank you so much for sharing.
I think Michelle is such a great example of when you just connect within, how much more you can just tap into.
True.
And I think that's something that, externally we can all see it, but sometimes you've just got to hit that click for yourself, and then once you do, it just magnifies even more.
Absolutely. Donna says, other people's expectations don't weigh as heavy on me, and happy to hold up the mirror to them. I love Donna discovering the coach in her and holding the mirror, right? That's fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. Lucy says, practicing more patience, being less reactive has allowed me to follow through on a more successful path. Less reactive, more reflective, right? Beautiful, Lucy, fantastic. Shama, I have learned better time management in the past couple of months. Have also gained more respect for other human beings when I started understanding that they are whole and complete. I love that.
Music to my
I think I'm kind of starting to understand the answer to my question in the beginning, why our students are experiencing transformation. I think Shama just, gave me this enlightening moment, because our students start understanding that all people are resourceful, creative, and whole. And behind every behavior, there is always a positive intention. I hope all of our coaches are also carrying this coach belief, right? Behind every behavior of any human being, there is always a positive intention. When you start thinking this way about people around us, you just totally shift your perspective, and you don't react the same way you used to react before. I can totally see how that's happening. Yeah. Alina, I learned to trust making decisions and sticking with them. I learned to appreciate my small success. That is a new strength. That's fantastic. Michelle, new strength to trust myself, and as a result, building confidence. That's fantastic strength to have. This confidence pushes me past the obstacles that held me back in past. Others' opinions don't matter as much. Love that. Love that. Look who is here.
Yeah, there we are. There he is. I was wondering where he was. Good to see you.
I was like, something is missing today, or someone is missing today. There you go. Yuvarajan is here. Welcome, Yuvarajan. Perseverance and confidence on battling uncertainties occurred due to COVID pandemic. That is a wonderful strength to have. And Akshata, the most powerful strengths, and I think the one strength everyone needs to have, is self-love, which I discovered in 2020. Ain't nobody taking that away from me. I love that. That is absolutely beautiful.
I just bottled that up nice and tight.
Kelly, the biggest things I would add from doing the GSCS is coming from a space of non-judgment. Yeah, I get so much depth from conversation and allows my mind to be open without any attachment. That is a great strength to have, Kelly. I'm sure it's transforming the way you are handling conversations, right? The way understanding happens between you and other people. Fantastic. Frida, I love that I have finally learned I really need to take step by step. So I need not to be sad when I just need to work like everyone else, sometimes more, sometimes less. And I finally understood that you do not get anywhere by simply relying on flying and jumping. That's a nice one. Thank you, Frida. Frida is on fire today. I love those reflections.
That's
Jill,
one of the metaphors webinar that we just had in the school there.
oh, okay. I see that now. Jill, this same here after JSAS, I have gained great strengths, like not taking personal, not getting worried about others' opinion, realizing who is toxic around me and cutting toxic ones. The difference is I keep better and I wake up with great energy for my beautiful, beautiful day. I think, Jill, this has been such, on a great transformational journey, because today's reflection have shown, so much. Jill, is really proud of you, gonna say this again. And Jesse says, the strength to unlearn behaviors that sabotage my growth and self-discipline. This gives me the confidence to continue to try new uncomfortable actions. That's fantastic too. I mean, such deep reflections today. On their own, they can show us what every person is capable of, just when we allocate time to reflection and learning from the source that really comes from the point of growth, right? You can see just in weeks, if we look at the comments from our first clinic and today's comments, I think it just says it all, right? What every person is capable of when they follow a journey of transformation. Fantastic results on efficiency. And I would like to invite you to assess your self-worth. Now, when we are assessing your self-worth, we want to answer the following question. What meaningful work is currently available to you to keep encouraging you daily? So what we've done with the previous questions, we've assessed our growth. We've seen how far we've gone. Now, the question is, how can we increase the self-worth and to keep the encouragement through meaningful work? Because only meaningful work can bring us to this increased self-worth, right? And that's very interesting connection. Viraj, can you see how meaningful work could keep encouraging you daily and keep your self-worth growing as a result?
Yeah, I mean, when it's aligned from your values and your strength, that worth is just going to exponentially, because you're up to something that's going to cause an impact, but also fills your cup along the way. And that's the best combination you can have. Absolutely.
Self-worth. So guys, please share in the chat what meaningful work is currently available to you to keep encouraging you daily. Gildes says, thank you with these questions. I can feel I'm changing to better me. Haven't asked this kind of questions myself. Gildes, thank you so much. And I brought your comment on purpose because I want to show our audience who will watch on replay and who are here live why we are doing so many questions and answers, right? And we are asking you to share the reflections. That's the crux, because you won't be asking these questions yourself. And by seeing other people answering the same question, you feel you are prompted to put your answer too. And the power of the group coaching session is really in this, right? Answer the questions you otherwise would not ask yourself. See the answers of others, get empowered through their courage, right? Through get inspired by their results and put yours out there too. Now, Preeti thinks, Viraj, that meaningful work to increase your self-worth is coaching. What do you think?
I mean, you talk about meaningful work, like the fact that you're able to unlock something for someone by just showing up and holding space, that's pretty powerful and profound. And as simple as that is, you've seen a glimpse of just through the sessions, what we've been doing online in the group setting. Imagine the impact when you're holding space for one person, one-to-one. That is life transforming in a very profound way. So Preeti, I'm really, really excited for you.
I agree with you. And also, it's interesting that Maxine says, my coaching tribe keeps me encouraged and humble. They rock.
What goes, right?
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Maxine. Yuvarajan says, meaningful work is being a good listener to friends who are having a tough time. It is indeed. And Kelly says, what imprint do I want to leave in other people's lives and in my children's lives? That is very and very touching and inspiring. And Beata says, I love connecting with people, so I'm adding learning ASL this fall. Fantastic, Beata. Alina says, how do I want to be remembered? How many lives can I touch? Beautiful questions to ask yourself. Ami says, self-worth feels so foreign. Oh, it's a pity, Ami. Why is that? Let us know. Why is the self-worth feeling foreign to you? Viraj, any coaching question you want to ask Ami here?
I mean, very quickly, it's just to reflect on that in terms of why has it felt alien and how can it feel familiar now?
Oh, that's the expert touch. There you go, Ami. You have your coaching question. If you want, answer and let us know. Akshata, I always wanted to do social work, never actively engaged in one. I started engaging myself in various NGOs and helping others. Everyone is happy. That is fantastic. I like Yuvarajan's comment. Do not really have to give advice. Just listen to their venting of feelings and give them the impression of belonging. Yuvarajan is the only person who did not yet enroll in the certification program, but is becoming a coach just by attending the coaching clinic.
Yuvarajan's teasing us. When are you signing up?
I think we are going to do the first in history. What do you call it? The
The honorary graduation.
Yeah. waiver of credits, right? Just by attending from day one each and every piece of content. Thank you, Yuvarajan, just like bringing some fun into conversation. We appreciate you and we love the fact that you are consuming all of our content. This is fantastic. Jildis, I can say being practice client. Interesting. You see, even by being a practice client, you can actually experience better self-worth, right? And feel you're doing meaningful work, which is also a great point. Preeti said, I noticed through JSCS my ability to be resourceful. Yes, that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to awaken the resourcefulness in you. Do you agree, Viraj?
Absolutely, and that's the thing, that we all have it. We just need to, again, take the dust off the mirror and see the full picture for ourselves. And one thing I actually wanted to go back to what Jody said about being a practice client is the contribution you're making to a fellow coach as well by creating that conversation for them as well. So that's a win-win for both of you, and then the person that they're going to go on to impact. So great example of a ripple effect by just showing up for someone else.
Absolutely agree. And it's also a way for you to discover, right, what is coaching, and not only by helping the fellow student, but also by, holding sometimes a space for them, right? You get confidence. If she did it, I can do it too during that session. So it's absolutely fantastic to witness this kind of two-way street growth. Now, Kshama says, I'm liking the person I am becoming and the impact it has on my daughter, helping set a better foundation for future generation. Thank you, JSCS and Viraj and the community. And thank you for being a part of this community. I think it's fantastic. Emmy has an answer to your question, Viraj. I think I confuse self-worth with compliments. And when I don't receive it, I don't feel valued. Self-worth, meaningful work does put in perspective. Any advice for Emmy?
No, I think you've kind of answered that question there. Is actually you can generate that self-worth for yourself and not have to rely on other people, because you can see and measure the impact that you're making by what you're contributing.
Absolutely agree. Emmy, I think that compliments matter, but what matters most is our self-compliments, right? Do you give yourself compliments? How often? And what do you actually say when you're giving compliments to yourself? But that's a topic for another coaching clinic. With that being said, let's dive deeper, because I believe we only have one exercise left, and that is the new meaning, right? Let's now look at the answers to the previous questions. And as a last step, what can you extract from the answers to the previous questions to define your new meaning. I challenge you to keep your new meaning to one sentence, okay? So you ask yourself, what is the new meaning, right? Extracting the pieces of the answers you provided to all the questions we've done today. And the follow-up question, how can you use your strengths and resources in the service of something larger than you are? What can you extract from the previous answers to define your new meaning? How can you use your strengths and resources in the service of something larger than you are? Looking forward to your answers in the chat. Viraj, how can you use your strengths and resources in the service of something larger than you are?
In creating ripples that haven't been made yet in the world.
I love that. In creating ripples that haven't yet been made in the world. As always, the wisdom answer from our coaching clinic supervisor Viraj. That is fantastic. Now I am seeing Gildes. Journaling and gratitude, affirmation. Now I listen with the people I'm connecting every day, life, and seeing how everyone has something beautiful in them. Beautiful. Thank you. Emma, are you as compassionate to yourself as you are to others? I think Emma was trying to help Emmy as well, right? And then Alina says, new meaning is equal to higher life purpose. Interesting. Do you think so too, Viraj?
I like that because, and it's not to say that where you're at is anywhere bad or anything like that, but now it's about elevating and raising the game, and that requires a new level of performance and creative tension. And when you're tapping into that strength, the efficacy, and the values, you're already a good chunk of the way there. You have everything you need. It's just now about just putting it into practice, and practice being the key word there.
Donna came up with her new meaning definition. So Donna's new meaning, everyone, is to bring love and joy to the small things in life and feel innocent gratitude.
Love that.
I really love that. It's like eliminate the guilt, right? Eliminate the pressure to be nice and good for everyone, right? But still bring love and joy to the small things in life. Innocent gratitude. I love that. Innocent gratitude. This is, I have to take a note today of this innocent gratitude. Love that. Meenakshi, evolving constantly and helping others evolve to the best with all around. Beautiful, Meenakshi. Thank you so much for sharing. Maxine, as to evolve into a more whole and fulfilled person, I am driven to help others who are equally stuck. That's my new meaningful life.
Amazing.
Very interesting. Driven to help others who are equally stuck. Yeah. I think so many people actually need this kind of help. And I can only imagine, our graduates and our alumni, how they will start helping all those people around the world discover, and go through this transformation. It's a wonderful moment to witness. I think in a year from now, if we all go back to this coaching session recording and we read our comments and we listen to ourselves, we will just be amazed as to how much can change in a world as a result of impact individually created by us, even today.
Exactly. And what I love about Maxine's comment, again, Maxine, you're on fire today, is that, and this is something I say a lot in my feedback in the supervised sessions, is if not you, then who? You've gone through this experience and this journey. And if you're not going to be the one to help people that you've just sort of taken that step out of, who else is going to do that?
I love that as an affirmation, actually, Viraj. Every time when you're doubting yourself, you should tell this to yourself, like, if not me, then who, right? And I think that's pretty empowering. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Frida says, I want to become a female role model for my kids. Okay, this is a tough one. And find my place to work in the knowledge industry to have a beautiful impact on many people. Interesting. I don't know why it's a tough one, Frida. I hope it's all okay. But I think looking at your answers today, I think if I had a mom with this kind of realization, she would already be a role model to me. Trust me, So I'm
for Frida, consider that you already are the role model because you're doing this work. So you're already there. Now it's putting the icing to the cake.
I agree. I agree totally. Like Frida should totally celebrate, the progress. And Frida, you deserve to celebrate that. Just reading, your answers today, you have gone through so much growth, right? And so much transformation. That's fantastic. Kelly, new meaning is to contribute to creating a kinder world, because it all starts from the relationship we have with ourselves. That's deep. Creating a kinder world starts with the relationship we have with ourselves. If anyone is taking quotes, I know we always had Anisha usually who is taking. If anyone is taking quotes today, please quote Kelly Turner on this one and add it to our book of quotes by GSCS students. Fantastic.
I think Kelly can drop the mic on that one.
Yuvarajan, being the beacon of positivity and fresh of breath air for people under duress and stress. Breath of fresh. That's amazing and fantastic. I mean, Yuvarajan, you are very inspiring, even though we always joke around, but your reflections are always so meaningful. Alina says, I have learned tools to help others rediscover their purpose and joyful life. So that's the new meaning. I think when we put our life meaning as helping others rediscover their purpose and joyful life, probably it's one of the ultimate, most meaningful, purposes that we can have. And Alina, thank you so much for sharing. Jessie, I have learned to be open to everything and attached to nothing. Love carries no judgment. I am love, and therefore I can give all love and kindness. Very warm reflection, isn't it, Viraj?
I love that, because it's just the love carries that non-judgment, and if it's coming from you, imagine what kind of a world that looks like.
Absolutely. Michelle's new meaning is to let people be who they are and appreciate all the parts of them without judging them based on your opinions. That's really powerful. I think, Michelle, very few people can go that path, because what that means, what you wrote, is eliminating ego. And when you can eliminate ego, you hold the power, of your personal transformation forever. And that's how you can create true impact on people's life. Because when you have no ego, that's when your coaching becomes absolutely different. That's when your coaching becomes very intuitive. It's completely selfless. It's completely label-less, right? Even in our imagination. And it's a very powerful moment, Michelle.
Yeah. And that circles back to the start of this conversation, in that survival and resistance to change comes from the ego, and the need to survive is the need to be safe, and the primal need to not put yourself in any kind of perceived risk or danger. And where the challenge is that when everyone here is up to so many incredible things, it's about just acknowledging that side of us is always going to be there. We're always going to initially perceive a threat. And now the willingness to look at what's the opportunity to be able to just park the ego to one side, just acknowledge that it's there, but then also look at the bigger picture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, like, Michelle has touched such a deep meaning, right? And it's fantastic that these realizations occur as a process of growth. Michelle, just congratulations on reaching there, and understanding, realizing that, being aware of that, right? That's absolutely beautiful. Ellie, I like also what Ellie wrote, embracing all parts of ourselves and making peace with it. Healing, right? Healing. Beautiful realization. It's, the fact that your new meaning is aligned, so closely with healing, and also with finding, the new version of ourselves. It's absolutely fantastic. That's, again, a representation of what happens when ego is absolutely eliminated. Preeti says, my strengths can help add a fresh perspective to a salad bowl that's in the making. That's nice. Really nice. Akshata, new meaning, be the source of love for everyone rather than expecting to receive before. Also spreading kindness towards myself and the world. I really love the first part, right? Be the source of love instead of expecting to receive before. Yeah. Just love that.
That's the very nature of service, and that the more you give, you're naturally going to receive anyway. So don't do it with a transactional mindset. It's just do it because you can, and just be willing to receive what comes in return.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your new meanings. I hope you are happy to discover today the recap, investigate your growth. I hope you all can celebrate because this has been truly fantastic session. To end it up, I want to bring a comment, which is actually a question from Ariba. Ariba asks, how can I try to save important relationships even when I am going through tough times with that person? Ariba, one of the things that I want to recommend you and all of our audience who will watch this on replay, this is exactly where you need to go for help. Our website, www.jshettycoaching.com. Click on Find a Coach, because there you're going to meet amazing graduates of the Jay Shetty Certification School. You can find a coach who is going to help you save important relationships, even if you're going through tough times with that person. As you probably saw today, our school has fantastic coaches and they all will be really, really happy to help you. So visit our website, www.jshettycoaching.com, click on Find a Coach, and you can choose from a lot of profiles of our coaches specializing in different niches. They will be more than happy to help you. On this, I would like to thank each and every one of you for fantastic reflections, for being so open, for being vulnerable as always, but most importantly, for discovering the new meaning and sharing it with the world. You are the best audience as always. And in the next coaching clinics, we are going to take a different turn. Because today we wanted to recap, and it means that we are going to start a whole new chapter in our new series of our coaching clinics. What it's going to be, let it be a secret. But as always, we are looking for topics which you would like us to cover. And Viraj, I want to thank you for being an amazing co-host today and for witnessing these amazing realizations together today.
No, thank you. This is such a pleasure to do. And, I just want to leave everyone with one thing, is that we started talking about change, and change is inevitable, but adaptation is optional. And when you take that option, that's where the magic happens. And so many people have shared today is when they've started to see themselves as whole, complete, and resourceful, and realize that the same fears that we've all have are the same fears that everyone has. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. The barriers come down, and you can realize how much of a contribution you can be by just being who you are, and then adding whatever it is that you'd like to add on top that's aligned with your values and your strengths and your meaning. So to each and everyone here that's shown up, that's done the work and the reflection, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge everyone and what you're seeing and sharing today. We're so proud of each and every one of you, and just keep it going. You guys are on an absolute roll.
Yes, I think we were blessed with such an amazing audience. Of course, we are blessed with the best students in the world, and now a lot of amazing graduates who are making a difference, and creating change around the world. But most importantly, we want to thank you for investing your time today and, on Mondays and anytime when we share content in your personal growth, because it means so much, right? Look at today's results. Just in few weeks, right? What we were able to experience in this school is absolutely fantastic, right? It's a tribe of people who were able to go from point A to point B with their own efforts, right? Facilitation and knowledge, which we provide, of course, is important, but nobody can take an action except yourself, to move towards that growth. So thank you for being you. And we look forward to the next coaching clinic sessions and series. Feel free to suggest your topics. And Viraj, are you excited about the new series?
I can't wait. Let's do. I wish it was tomorrow.
Same here. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day and see you in 2 weeks. Until then, keep coaching, keep evolving, keep changing. Thank you, Viraj. You have a good day too.
You too. Catch you later, Medina. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.